Hey y'all, good afternoon. Welcome, or if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and record an unboxing slash DIY video. So I ordered a vintage dusting powder box off of eBay and it's empty, and I wanted to make a do-it-yourself talcum-free perfumed powder. So I checked this book out of the library recently. This is Perfume Splashes and Colognes by Nancy M. Booth, and it came out in 97. It's very like 90s with its little like font and illustrations, and it's super cute. But there is just like a mishmash of different types of recipes and stuff in here. And there's one for a dusting powder. It says, extend the longevity of a perfume or cologne with a complementary dusting powder of the same fragrance. If you're giving this as a gift, add a swan's down puff. And it's really simple. It just calls for 2 cups arrowroot or cornstarch, half a cup of baking soda, and half to 1 teaspoon fragrance, essential, or blended oil. Now, 2 cups of cornstarch, I mean, that's going to yield a ton of powder, and like realistically, I'm not going to probably go through that much powder. And also, since I'm just sort of playing with this recipe, I don't want to use a lot of materials. So I've cut the recipe by 8. So instead of 2 cups of cornstarch, I'm using a 1/4 cup. So just like my standard, Kroger brand grocery store cornstarch, and I've measured out about a 1/4 cup, so I'm putting that in there. And then for the baking soda, she calls for half a cup, and I don't know, doing 1/8 of half a cup seems kind of tricky, so I converted it to tablespoons. So 1 cup equals 16 tablespoons. So half a cup would be 8 tablespoons, and 8 divided by 8 is 1. So I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Oop, or maybe a little bit more. Oh well. I mean, this is such a simple recipe. I don't think it really matters. And then for the fragrance, I'm going to put in Commodity Gold. This is the expressive version, and this is one of my favorite fragrances. It's juniper berry, vanilla, and I feel like it will lend itself well to powder, because it's kind of a soft powdery smell on its own, so it just kind of goes. And that's an interesting thing, we always talk about things having a powder smell, but is that just because we associate the fragrance that's normally put into powder with powder, so now we think that it smells powdery? I don't know. Does that make sense? And I'm just like whisking it. I'm just smell testing to see if I want to add more fragrance. You can also do, just like drop essential oil in there. I've also played around and just like dropped the perfume directly in there instead of spraying it. So you just kind of add it until it smells good. I don't know. I'm smelling a lot of the perfumer's alcohol, so I'm going to give it like a second and see if that kind of evaporates off. I mean, you can see it's kind of clumpy. It's not like as fine as like a talcum powder, but I really don't want to use talc, especially around like my private bits. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the scent level now, so I just kind of added little bits at a time and just smell it till it smells good to me. Okay, so now I'm gonna unbox my dusting powder box from eBay. And this is something that I don't see as much anymore, and actually I didn't even know it was a thing until kind of recently that you know, fragrances used to release scented dusting powders as like part of their line. And actually when I was up in Kentucky recently and going through my grandma's vintage perfumes and stuff, I found like an old Avon Vanilla Fields dusting powder, which unfortunately the scent had completely gone off. Which I guess kind of makes sense because, you know, in a powder format, it's going to be subject to a lot of oxidation. So, you know, the fragrance is going to evaporate. But yeah, it's something I don't see like brands do as much anymore. You know, releasing like a powder, and you know, powder went through, I guess, kind of a period of infamy because we discovered that, you know, talcum often contained arsenic and was not safe to use. So I don't know if that's part of it. Oh, look at this. Look how pretty this is. Oh my God. Oh man, that's so... Look at this box. It's so pretty. It's got this little wand maiden just in her little dream world. And I don't know. I don't know what kind of plastic this is. I don't know what year this is from. I know it's, yeah, it's Evyan. I don't know how you say that. E-V-Y-A-N. Evyan or whatever. I don't know much about that brand, but if anyone knows, let me know. Remove plastic insert and use only when traveling, as this material temporarily affects fragrance. Okay, so it's got this little tab. You pull. Oh, this is cool. Okay, and it's got remnants of the old powder in it. Let's see. Which, yeah, it doesn't really have any smell. Look at this little puff. Ooh. Ooh, it's a little fluffy puff. This seems to be like, look at this little ribbon. Like, why don't they make these anymore? This seems to be some kind of like synthetic material, I think. I don't think it's like swan's down, but it's got a little bit of powder crusted on it. So yeah, it's not totally like sanitary, but I mean, I could probably rinse it off, but I don't know. I don't really care though. It's fine. I am gonna like wipe this out with a paper towel. I got kind of fixated on this idea of a vintage powder box because when I was up in Kentucky, I went to the Peddler's Mall, and one of the booths there was selling this like old Avon powder box for Persian wood, and it had this really beautiful red puff in it. And I didn't buy it at the time, and then I just ended up like thinking about it constantly. I looked up a few of those on eBay too, but either they didn't have the puffs, or the ones that had the puffs, like the outside of the box was really damaged. But this powder box seems to be pretty intact, and the price was right, you know. It wasn't, let me see, what did they pay for this? Before taxes and shipping, I paid $14 for this box, which, I don't know, that seems like a fair price. It was, at least it was worth it to me. So let me see if I can just kind of I'm just gonna spoon it in. All right, there we go. these clumps out. All right. Dusting powder kit complete. I am ready for summer. I can prevent chafing. If you worked in the service industry ever, you know an old kitchen trick is just to use cornstarch. I've never been like a line cook or worked in a kitchen. I've only done front of house stuff, but a lot of times cooks will use cornstarch just on their thighs and armpits and stuff to prevent chafing and sweating. But yeah, this is essentially the same thing, but just with a lot of perfume in it. And look how pretty it is. I'm obsessed. All right. You can also, you know, I had this idea and then I actually looked up on TikTok. It was kind of trending for a while to do like stuff, to do a dusting powder with Dollar Tree supplies. So, I mean, you could use like a pre-existing cornstarch based powder and just add your own fragrance. The only thing with that is that it already usually has some kind of fragrance in it. And you can use all kinds of different containers. You could even use like a salt shaker would be a good delivery method if you don't like have a puff and stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. I'll see you later.